Alright guys, today we're going to talk about key features of linear functions. Our domain is our x values. It is how far left to right we go. Our range is our y values, and we read a graph bottom to top. So it's how far down and up. So bottom to top. Okay, our x-intercept we talked about before. Anytime we know the x-intercept, we know that y is 0. It's where the graph crosses the x-axis. Okay, so graph crosses the x-axis. And we have been doing y-intercept a lot because that's our starting point when we're in y equals mx plus b. And here we know x is 0 and then y changes, and it's where the graph crosses the y-axis. Okay, is it increasing or decreasing if you have a positive slope? It is increasing. And then a negative slope for these linear functions is decreasing. In behavior, we'll get to that in the next unit, but it'll help us talk about how the graph ends, whether it ends up or ends down. Okay, so let's look here at this first example. Okay, if we want to write in slope-intercept form, remember that is y equals mx plus b. So we need our m and our b. So if we come over here, we know directly from the graph our b is 2. So that's going to be plus positive 2. And then our slope here, we have a point here and the point here, so we can do rise over run. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, and we're going down 3, and then over 1. So that's negative slope, we can tell by looking. So our slope is negative 3 over 1, which is negative 3x. Okay, so if we wanted to do a table of values, okay, this will be important in Unit 3 when we do quadratics. Then we could go from negative 2 to 1, so negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1. We can read these sometimes from the graph, sometimes we have to plug it in like we did with our function notation. So if we put negative 2 in here, that's going to be negative 3 times negative 2. See, I'm putting x, negative 2 in place of x, plus 2. So that's 6 plus 2 is 8. And you can tell at the graph it's going up, so that makes sense. At negative 1, I can look in here, so we have negative 3 times negative 1 plus 2. That's going to be 3 plus 2 is 5. And I can see that on the graph right there. And then 0 we know is at 2, and 1's at negative 1. So I can get it from reading the graph or plugging it into the equation. Okay, my y-intercept we know here from the equation or the graph is at 0, 2. The x-intercept, it's going to be a fraction between 0 and 1. So when we know the x-intercept, we know that y is 0, so we can plug 0 in place of y. And then we can solve for x. X is our unknown, so we can subtract 2 from both sides. We get negative 2 equals negative 3x. Divide by negative 3. So 2/3 equals x. And we can tell that that's about 2/3. So that would be the point 2/3, 0. Okay, domain. Now for this line, you can tell how far left is this line going to go? Well, there's an arrow here under this dot, so it's going to go on and on forever. How far right? Forever. So it's going to be all real numbers. So we could say from negative infinity to positive infinity, sideways 8. The range, how far down will this go? Negative infinity. How far up? positive infinity. So negative infinity to positive infinity there. So the domain for all linear functions, which means a straight line, unless they have an endpoint, and that would make it a segment, is always going to be always all real numbers. Okay, standard form, if you remember, is ax plus by equals c. So we're going to take that up there, y equals negative 3x plus 2. And we need to get the x to the other side, so we're going to add 3x to both sides. We're going to get 3x plus y equals 2. So that's going to be my standard form. Okay, is this increasing or decreasing? We go from left to right, it's going down. Our slope is negative, so it is decreasing. Okay, flip over on the back and you will see this example here. So our y-intercept's at 2, 1, 2. Our slope's negative 1/2, go down 1, 1, 2, down 1, 1, 2, down 1, 1, 2, or we could go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, and then we can draw our straight line. And arrows showing it continues in both directions. From our equation and our graph, we can see that the y-intercept is at 0, 2. From the graph, 1, 2, 3, 4, our x-intercept is at 4, 0. Or remember, we can plug 0 in and solve for x. If we go over here and we fill in our table of values, when we plug negative 2 in, negative 1/2 times negative 2 is positive 1 plus 2 is 3. We can also go to the graph, negative 2, 1, 2, 3. When we plug negative 1 in, that would be negative 1/2 times negative 1 is 1/2 plus 2 is 2.5. Look at the graph, negative 1, 1, 2, it's about 2.5 there. 0 we know is at 2. And then when we plug 1, that would be negative 1/2 plus 2, which would be 1.5. At 1 is 1.5. So that's our table of values. Our domain is going to be all real numbers because it continues in both directions, left to right, continues. And then our range is going to be all real numbers also. Again, the domain and range for linear function is always all real numbers. Okay, is this increasing or decreasing? Negative slope, going down from left to right, so it's decreasing. Standard form. So standard form should be ax plus by equals c. Okay, we reminded ourselves on the last example, but also a and b can't be fractions. So let's go up here and we have f of x is another way we can write y. So we would add 1/2 x to both sides. We would get 1/2 x plus y equals 2. I can't have this as a fraction, so if you remember from at the beginning of unit 2, when we eliminated fractions, we would multiply everything by 2. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 2 times y is 2y. And then 2 times 2 is 4. So our standard form would be x plus 2y equals 4. Okay, so let's look at one more. If you would stop the video at this point and work this by yourself, and then come back and check it. Okay, so here we have standard form. Now sometimes the ax plus by is on the right side instead of the left. That's okay. So we want to go from standard form to y-intercept form. So we're going to get y by itself. So we're going to add x to both sides. And we get x plus 1 minus 1. X minus 1 equals y. So we can go up here and write that in our slope-intercept form. Y equals x minus 1. Double check down there. Good to go. Okay, so here we know our y-intercept is 0, negative 1. Our slope is 1. So 0, negative 1. Slope is 1. Rise 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. Up 1 or you could have went down and left to still get it positive. Let's do our line. And then we have the point 1, 0 as our x-intercept. And then we're going this time from -1 to 2. So at -1, it appears to be a 2, so let's plug it in there. -2, -1 minus 1 is -2. 0 is -1. 1 is 0, because 1 minus 1 is 0. 2 is 1. Okay, again, a linear function goes on forever and ever from left to right. So -infinity to infinity. The range, -infinity to infinity. And this has a positive slope. It's going from low to high, so it is increasing. Okay, guys, so please look over that. Let me know what questions you have. Check Planbook for your assignment. Have a great day.